everyone doing? It's Clay here with Just Had Water. Today we are out here in the middle of nowhere. We're kind of close to Adele. We're kind of close to Adele, but we are doing a Pondless tear out redo. Homeowner moved in here about 2 years ago, and this thing had never been up and running. So we're gonna try and fix that for him, while at the same time giving a bit of a facelift. Alright, so we got those rocks that were already in the feature that we're not going to be moving. We got those torn out as best as possible and at least brought back out of our way. So now we can get our rock work in along with the foam board and the rock pad and the liner. But yeah, so next step is going to be digging and installing the basin. Let's go! Okay, so we've got the basin dug in. This is going to be the height for the block. It's set about 5 inches below the patio itself. We still have to dig this down another 7 inches, and that should put the vault about 1 inch or 2 below the patio here. So when working around hardscapes like this, it's really important to get your heights correct. Just because if we don't get this down far enough, we're gonna have a weird kind of, pimple bulging mound of gravel that's just gonna look weird. We want all the gravel to be flush or lower than the patio here. So that's the goal. Hopefully we can get it so it sits 1 or 2 inches beneath, and then we can get it nice and hidden and out of the way. Alright, so the basin is now in and backfilled. As I'm sure you saw, the way we do it is we put down a layer of fabric to help protect the liner from any rock, gravel, anything sharp that might puncture it. And then we put down more fabric on the inside to protect the liner from the they're not super sharp, but they're hard and pointy enough that if stepped on too much or settling all that, these might be able to poke holes in the liner as well. So we always put down some fabric on the inside just to be a little extra precautious. We made sure we have plenty of liner over here so we can get a flop. That is where we'll take the streamliner and we'll come in over top of this and we'll put that underneath the waterfall here. So that way water is going to go up and over, and the only way it would ever leak is if somehow water got backed up all the way up to there. So that's the goal for now. It's time to get the streamliner and start rocking, I suppose. Okay, so yesterday while we were doing the tear out of the old feature, we found a couple different critters, little ground squirrels that ran out from the liner. Because of that, we highly recommended that the homeowner go with the concrete cloth, which fortunately he decided to do so. So this is what we'll be putting in today. It'll also help a lot with the predicament we're in. Not much of a predicament. We knew it was a thing that was going to happen, but with the rock that we're going to be building on top of. So initially our plan was to use this rock pad, which is just a thicker version of our normal fabric, along with walking all over the job site, along with this foam board here. We will still be using both of those, but now we'll also be throwing the concrete cloth in there as well, which that will help out significantly with protecting the liner from the rock that we'll be building on top of and the rocks that we will be using to build. Yeah, so how the concrete cloth works, let me get my finger out of the shot. How the concrete cloth works is right now it is nice and malleable, where you can work with it, do all that, but you can see there's all this concrete inside the fabric itself. So over time, when it gets wet, it's going to harden, solidify, and it's going to be a major deterrent for ground squirrels, different types of critters from getting at the liner. I mean, sure, they can chew through liner, but have you ever seen a squirrel chew through concrete? I'm sure someone has, but it's not common. All right, so our first waterfall is built. Apologies for not recording it. There's just some weird circumstances with the pre-existing water feature and how we're doing this. It was just a whole lot of us putting rocks in, tearing them out, putting rocks in, tearing them out. You didn't miss much. So here you go. There's the first one. So what was causing me so much issue was, well, I needed to get the rock all the way up to the top of that pre-existing waterfall stone that's beneath the liner there. All the rocks that I had that are the proper height would not make good waterfalls, so I had to do a gravel base. So this rock is only a foot tall, which is about 3 inches shorter than what I wanted. So I put the shoulders in place, and then I put these two cobbles here, and I made a gravel pad that I then set the waterfall on top of. So that way the 1 foot rock is now up to about 15 inches. So yeah, the other issue I had is trying to hide the liner here. I'm gonna try my best to explain how this was an issue. It's hard to hide the liner because we have to have on these shoulders, the liner has to come around to the front. That way water doesn't leak over like right here. So to do that, normally we have it recessed back and then we can just dirt into it, and that's fine. But we couldn't really do that because the pre-existing rock comes out to here, and then it was going to be hard to tie this rock into that rock. So I fixed that by doing this little mini boulder wall. That way I'm able to hide the liner. I'll do a better job when it's all done. But I'm able to hide the liner, I'm able to bring this up to grade, and I'm also able to tie all of this in with this boulder wall. So it's all a big boulder wall. These are just much smaller boulders. But yeah, sorry if I confused anyone. This is just my thought process as I go throughout the build. All right, we are all finished up, wrapped up. Got the remainder of the waterfalls built. We gravelled up. We used some Mexican beach pebbles for all of this, just so it kind of stood out from the rest of the rock work around it. And I think it's doing its job perfectly. I'll show you for yourselves. The trickiest part with a build like this is just not having a lot of room, because you're building between a rock and a hard place, you know? So you have to use smaller rocks and still get that elevation change that you need. So it could be a little tight in some spots, but I think we got it looking pretty good.